A very good afternoon to all those people in the UK, and a very good morning to all of those people that are in Latin America or in the Caribbean or the Americas. It's really good to have you. I'm Jonathan Ledger from the Department for Business and Trades International Education team, and my responsibility within our team is to look after technical and vocational education and training, skills and professional bodies. As you know, the SkillsFest has been happening every day this week and continues up until Friday. These afternoon sessions in the UK are especially for the Americas and for Caribbean. So it's really good to have you on board. And if it's anything like yesterday, people carried on joining right up until the end. So it'll be interesting to see who joins, but we'll carry on regardless. Our speakers are here to give you a really good overview of some of the things that they're doing both in the UK and around the world. So really great to have them on board. And I'm just going to quickly go through all of the speakers by name, just so that you know who they are and who's coming. The other thing is, in the chat bar, please do put any questions that you've got. The only silly question is the one that you didn't ask. So, you know, don't be frightened. Do type some questions in there and we'll come to those in a block at the end of this afternoon's activity. So first up will be Fabienne Bailey from AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group. Then we have John Elsner from Field Ready Limited, Manny Athwell from School of Coding and AI. Catherine Langford will be joining us from Education Training Foundation. Claire Montague from NCFE Awarding Organisation, and Majida Kader from Metaverse Learning. So a really different mix of people joining today to talk about their offer around the world. And we're going to dive straight in and waste no time and hand over to Fabienne. So while I'm reading Fabienne's intro, she will load up her presentation and start. So Fabienne Bailey is AIM Group Director of Business Transformation and Growth with 23 years of experience in the skills sector. Fabienne will share details of AIM Group skills accreditation offer to creative, cultural and professional services sector, along with exciting new developments to support international students to enter higher education. Fabienne, I'm especially grateful because this is your second session, so thank you very much indeed, and over to you.
Great stuff. Right, thanks for the intro, Jonathan. I am from AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group, and I'm one of the group directors there responsible for business transformation and growth. And I'm going to talk to you today about our work as an awarding organisation. We've been a UK and international awarding organisation for over 40 years now and operate in over 40 international countries. An awarding organisation in the UK is an accredited body that is licensed by the regulators from the Department for Education to be an accreditation body and in some cases an examining body. So we are what's known as an awarding organisation that supports the education and skills sector, which includes ministries, colleges, higher education institutions, schools and employers who deliver their own training. We're also what's known as a specialist endpoint assessment organisation. And that means we are allowed to develop apprenticeship standards, which support the apprenticeship model of education in the UK and now internationally through the work that we do with our partners abroad. So I'll talk to you a bit more about our specialism in the endpoint assessment world in a moment, but we're also what's known as an access validating agency. So lots of grand titles, but the access validating agency means that we're licensed by the Quality Assurance Agency in the UK for higher education to support the access to higher education model, which operates to give second chance learning to adults who's missed out on the traditional routes. And I'll come to that in the second part of my presentation. So as an awarding organisation that's regulated by Ofqual, part of the Department for Education, and as an access validating agency regulated by the QAA for access to higher education, we have over 700 qualifications that are available to benefit learners in a whole range of sectors. ESOL and English language are by far our most popular qualifications on the international spectrum, but we do offer qualifications across across the range, including construction, health, business, digital, creative, education, and many more. And we are looking to expand our offer of UK qualifications and apprenticeships internationally with our partners. We also offer a formal endorsement service, and this is where organisations that deliver their own high quality training and development are able to work with us for us to formally validate and assess any training programmes that have been developed by yourselves. And on successful completion, we can create internationally recognised certification that adds value to the students who are on your programmes. We can include dual logos with the aim and your own organisation branding to give that extra value to the students. So let me talk to you more about the creative and cultural sector then. As I said, we are a specialist endpoint assessment organisation, and that means we work in the apprenticeship world to support apprenticeship standards and learning and earning whilst in work. The creative and cultural sector is important to AIM Group because there's a £109 billion contribution to the UK economy. And in 2020, the UK was the 5th largest exporter of the creative services, and it's a hugely important and growing sector in the UK and across the globe. So organisations like TV and film companies, video games, digital, creative designers, VFX, animation, and many more all require these skills. The UK government's plan is to keep growing this industry by a further £50 billion, and other nations are doing the same and really placing this at the heart of their visions and strategies. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as an example, see this sector as a key pillar of its Vision 2030 and plan to highlight the importance of this emerging industry. India's Culture Working Group see this as a growing sector, growing industry, supporting job creation, innovation, inclusiveness, and improving the status of cultural practitioners. And another example is in Iraq, that's now supporting the sector, challenging community perceptions that they are only focused on reconstruction and conservation. So many examples of this growing economy across the world. So how can we help at AIM Group then? So as an apprenticeship assessment organisation, we have developed 27 specialist standards that are bespoke to this sector, along with a range of regulated qualifications in subjects such as VFX, gaming and animation. And with these standards, we can help to support partners across the world to implement similar models of apprenticeship training as we do here in the UK. We partner with big names like Creative UK, who are the largest membership organisation in this sector, Screen Skills, the BBC, and many more. And we do this so that we can champion, connect, support, and invest in creative people and businesses. So we're here to support employers and training providers to accredit creative and cultural skills programmes. When you get the slides at the end of the week from Jonathan, there's a link on this page that you'll be able to open, which will take you to our web page, which lists all of the different apprenticeship standards in the creative and cultural sector, with more information about the content that's included in them. You'll see the full list on the side, but just some examples are audio visual technician, broadcast and media systems, camera prep technician, content creator, curator, and many more different titles that will be of interest to you if this sector is important to your business. So please do take a look further and contact me if you've got any further questions. A couple of nice case studies will be linked to you as well. This one here is a young lady, 25-year-old Kiara, who was the first apprenticeship to achieve the media production coordinator. She passed with distinction at level 4, and that was the first using the AIM apprenticeship standards. A similar nice case study here about a young man, Harjan Danjal. He was the first to complete the new music production apprenticeship, and he received top marks for his endpoint assessment after collaborating with the BBC introducing artists. So some case studies about the impact of the apprenticeship standards that AIM Group can offer. Now, I said that we're access validating agency as well as an endpoint apprenticeship organisation. So what does that actually mean? Well, we operate in the UK a model of education called Access to Higher Education, and this has been successful for many years to help bridge the gap to higher education for those who might have missed out on the traditional routes. So by the traditional routes, I mean school, college, university. Now, there's many adults who get to a point in their life where they decide, actually, I do want to achieve a degree, but I don't have those traditional college entry points. Or they might want to change career. There's lots of people retraining at the moment, or they might want to upskill in their current jobs. So the Access to Higher Education model allows that second chance learning. It bridges the gap and widens participation. We're regulated by the Quality Assurance Agency in the UK for this model, but QAA don't currently regulate on an international basis. So what we've done at AIM Group is to develop an international model that can be used in the same way to widen participation and bridge that gap to higher education. We have a range of 30 different diploma titles at level 3, and level 3 is the entry point required to access UK higher education at level 4. So we've got 30 different titles available, but the one that we are going to pilot with our international partners first is the level 3 international diploma in nursing. And we've chosen nursing because it's well documented about the skills gap that we have here in the UK and how this skills gap can be supported to be filled by international students who are looking to develop their careers in nursing. Again, this link will take you to more information on our webpage around the Access to HE model in the UK and the different titles that are available. I won't read the whole list, but you can see there for yourselves. There's a good range: art and design, business, education, humanities, policing, law. But do take a look for yourself and click into those titles to find out more information. So the offer to international students is a fully online diploma. So students don't have to come to the UK to study these diplomas. They can stay at home in their home countries and achieve and study a fully online diploma in those different titles. The nursing will be the first one, but business, education and digital will follow soon after. They will then be able to progress to a range of UK higher education institutions, and we've received letters of support from all of those universities that are willing to act as progression partners to guarantee entry onto their degree programmes. It's been proven to be a lower cost and higher value route than the foundation degree, and it's more flexible as no examinations are required. So the benefits of AIM qualifications and apprenticeship standards then, I've mentioned that we're regulated, so you can be assured of quality assurance and the international recognition. We offer social mobility, job entry, career progression and continuous professional development. And with our qualifications, you'll have that internationally recognised certificates from AIM Group with a whole vision of validation to empower futures. Thank you very much for listening. My contact details are there if you've got any questions or any follow-up information that you'd like to receive. Thank you very much.
Fabienne, thank you so much indeed. What a mix of qualifications you've got, and you're dead right about the creative sectors being so important. So really good to see that you're working on that, and that's of particular importance in the Caribbean. So I have no doubt that's got the attention of some of my colleagues and some of our friends that are in the Caribbean. So fantastic.
Excellent.
That you showed that. Thank you. We're going to move straight on though, no time to delay. We're going to move on to John Elsner. He's from Field Ready Limited. It's really great to have him on board. He's currently actually based in or sitting in Seattle, so we're particularly pleased that he can join us just to show, you know, how technology works around the world to bring experts and people together. So really great to have you here. John Elsner is an attorney by training. His international career began with teaching for 3 years in rural high schools in Japan, where he was elected national chairman of the Multi-Teachers Organisation. Since that time, he has managed several not-for-profit organisations, as well as worked in international consulting, logistics, coordinating training groups from multilateral corporations and government entities from more than 50 countries. Although he has been affiliated with the company for more than a decade, John formally joined Field Ready in 2021, serving as its Director of Commercial Development and coordinating international projects throughout Sub-Saharan Africa. And if it's anything like the session he delivered this morning, it'll be fantastic. So hope you enjoy this session. Over to you, John. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Jonathan. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Lovely to have you join. I'm John Elsner, as Jonathan mentioned, and working for a company called Field Ready that I'm going to tell you a little bit about. We're going to be discussing solving employability challenges. What solving employability challenges means to us is looking at the abilities and skills and the knowledge base that people have, and then looking directly at employers and what they're looking for in order to hire people, and then judging the gap and bridging that gap. So we develop programs to bridge that gap. That gap could be in just about anything. It might be in some type of specialty technical skill, but very often we find it's related to the attitudes that people have toward work, maybe experience that they have. Maybe they have all the education that they need for a job, but they don't have practical experience, and they really need that in order to move forward. How they see their roles in companies. These are all areas that we try to focus on and really look to see what the issue is with each individual and what employers are looking for. Our name, Field Ready, gives it away. Our goal is to have people be field ready, ready for employment. Where do we do this? Africa. We work primarily in Africa. We're actually an Oxford-based company and have been doing this for about 20 years under the banner of our group, which is called the Get Energy Group, delivering employability conferences all over the world. And so what we did is we took that experience and about 8 years ago spun off Field Ready to focus primarily on Africa. You'll see the little asterisk down in the bottom that says, and anywhere else. We do have programs outside of Africa, but Sub-Saharan Africa is really our main focus. And we are working in developing programs in English, in French, and in Portuguese. So how do we do this? We do it by partnering. We partner with companies and government entities, with educational institutions and nonprofits. All of these are stakeholders in this. Any like-minded organization we partner with. Governments have a genuine interest in developing people and helping them to find jobs in the communities. Companies want to have great employees. Educational institutions want to figure out how they can train people in order for them to get jobs. So everyone has a stake in this, and we partner with everyone across the board to do it. Our programs, many of them at least, could be categorized into these 4 areas: finding, training, retaining, and upskilling. And so I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking about each one of those. Finding, we specialize in finding and selecting really outstanding top quality candidates. We do that in our communities all over Africa by looking at social media. We have contacts at educational institutions. There are certifying bodies that we partner with. We even do old school stuff like go to villages and put up posters and do radio announcements. But the idea is to gather a group of people that are interested in getting jobs or increasing their skill set. And so we'll gather these people together and then put them through a 6-stage selection process that includes testing and logic testing and some technical skills testing and writing open-ended answers to questions to get a sense of who they are and what their background is. And so we take all of that information and then we match it with what employers are looking for, and then select a group of them to attend a selection day. And you can see some of the pictures from selection days there, where the group will gather and it's a one-day event, and they'll go through exercises together, working as group projects, networking activities, individual interviews, and all of that's being observed by our staff, as well as by what we call technical commissioners, which are people in the community. They're industry experts from a whole range of companies that volunteer their time to improve the employability of the community. And so we get together and we observe these groups of people and see how they work together and what skills they have. And from that, we'll gather a group together of finalists that will go into a training program. The training program is a balance between a taught portion and a practical work placement internship portion. And so the taught portion, the group will go to a local institute and they'll learn skills in technical skills, possibly language training. HSE is a really big area, health and safety. We find so often in educational programs really throughout the world that health and safety isn't talked about a lot until people get on the job. And what we try to do is instill that in these trainees very early on, even before they move into the job. And also we focus on areas like applied personal skills. So teaching critical thinking, how to genuinely listen in a conversation, how to make yourself understood and known, good communication practices, how to work in a team. Very often in education programs, people don't learn how to work well with each other, and that's such a critical component in being employable and thriving in a company. And so they'll go through a program like that for a certain period of time. Let's call it 4 weeks or 8 weeks or even 16 weeks. And then after they complete that taught portion of the program, they'll move into a work placement internship at a company. Now, at the end of the day, very often these people are hired, the trainees are hired by the companies that sponsored them to go into this program, but not always. There's a lot of companies that sponsor students to go through this program simply to give them the experience that they need and the training they need to be valuable and employable in different industries. And so they'll have that as a part of their budget, as a part of their localization budget. So the retain portion of it is that we work with companies individually as well. So to support their workplace development goals, companies will have certain strategies that we help them develop as well as implement. Maybe they want to train their first-time supervisors to be great coaches for their junior staff. Or maybe they want to implement a strategy of like root cause analysis throughout the whole company. And so we will help them develop these strategies. And how that affects retention is that as these companies develop and they become the type of place where learning is a career-long experience, where communications are encouraged and valued and done effectively, where employees are valued and they see themselves belonging there. What happens is that they want to stay in these type of environments long term, well beyond what they would normally move to if they were purely salary based. They identify with that organization, and of course that addresses retention, which is one of the most important areas in employment. So we've talked about working with the companies themselves for their strategies, and we've talked about new hires. The offshoot would naturally be, well, what about all of the people that are already working in companies? And so we have lots of programs for them. We'll have professional communications programs, leadership training. Oftentimes companies will identify very early on high potential candidates that they foresee moving into senior management at some point. And so we'll develop those high potential programs for them in order to get the most out of their staff and have them really get the most out of their experience at the company. So there's a few other areas that are definitely worth a mention all on their own. One is gender diversity. This is one of our most important areas, and in fact is an issue all over the world. And frankly, I would do it if I could only look as cool as these young ladies do here. But this issue where you have women moving into historically male-dominated industries and positions is such a critical thing in the workplace really throughout the world. And so we have lots of programs that work with that area. A couple of examples come to mind. Last year, we ran a program for a client that was opening a world-class logistics distribution center in Nigeria. And they needed to hire a large pool of people and have them trained in electric forklift driving. And so we did all the selection and did the training for them for the forklift driving, as well as how to be a great employee, how to communicate effectively, how to work safely, those things. Another example is we work with a national electric company in Africa that their goal is to have a 40% presence of women in the technical roles throughout the entire country within 8 years. And so in the next couple of months, we're going to have our first pool of 50 women that are going into these technical roles spread out in urban and rural areas throughout the country. We also run an event called Generation Ready. Generation Ready we run in Mozambique and in Ghana, and it's an annual event. And I know many of you probably attend lots of conferences. This is somewhat of a unique event, and we're told by the participants that it really does stand out in their mind. What it is a gathering place to meet and understand really an issue and build relationships. So we have government officials and CEOs of companies attend this fairly small event. It's about 150 people. It's kept to a maximum of 150 people. And then we mix that with early career people, trainees, so people can get a different perspective of what it's like to be focused on employability issues. What it looks like for a trainee is very different from a CEO. And we're regularly told by people that it's been a long time since they had a chance to talk with somebody who is starting in their career. And so this is an opportunity for people to talk about issues that matter. And as you can see, our annual event in Mozambique is happening on Friday. So the last program I'll mention is our employability platform. And this is something that we launched this year in January. And it's based on our partnership with the government of Mozambique, where Field Ready has become the online employability clearinghouse for technical students in technical institutes throughout the entire country. And so it's something like 15,000 students. And what we do is we offer them access to information about employability issues like webinars and training materials and teaching materials, advice on how to do a CV or how to act in an interview, job opportunities. And this is something that is going right now. It's live right now, as well as we're building it in a number of other countries. So what we do is we try to build sustainable, practical programs that help develop people and likewise develop the companies themselves, and as a natural offshoot of that, develop the community. And I'm happy to say we've had some success at this. We've been recognized by the African Union as one of their top education innovations on the continent. So if you have an interest in your staff looking as excited as this young lady does here, feel free to give me a shout. My email is there, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot.
And just like this morning, John, I guess this is the time when I do that impression and say thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much, John. Really interesting, amazing work that you're doing with Feel Ready. And I think there's lots of opportunities, not only for people across Latin America and the Caribbean to be working with you, but also partners from the UK that are on the call. So really great to hear your story there. So thanks so much indeed. Next up, we have Manny Athel, and he's from School of Coding and AI. Manny is the CEO, and he's won this year Entrepreneur of the Year, and he's founder and current CEO of the School of Coding and its group of companies. Manny obtained his undergraduate degree from the University of Wolverhampton and his executive education from the University of Oxford Said Business School. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to have Manny here.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Manny, and I'm the founder and CEO of School of Coding, which is the UK's largest coding education company. We teach coding, AI, and cybersecurity to both teachers and also to students directly. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about our three offers. First of all, our teacher training offer, and secondly, our boot camps for students. So School of Coding teaches just over 5,500 students every single month here in the UK and in 17 different countries. We teach just over 2,000 teachers with coding, AI, and cyber skills. We train them up to be able to deliver those within schools, colleges, and universities. So our aim is to both upskill teachers and also upskill the next generation in order to help governments close down the digital skills gap, not just in the UK, but all across the world. What we want to do is trying to inspire the next generation, especially females, to get into coding, AI, and cyber, because a lot of the tech companies are really keen on taking females, especially from ethnic minority backgrounds as well. And we want to try and push more and more girls into coding and computer science. So as a multi-award winning company, we are recognized here in the UK by some of the major brands, including the BBC, the Department for Education, University of Oxford, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. But across Europe, we are directly funded by the European Council and the likes of Toyota Europe. So our work ranges from upskilling staff within businesses, helping students to get into these businesses, but at the same time shaping the education when it comes to digital skills within schools, colleges, and universities. So our experience in building the digital workforce of tomorrow, we focus on three things. We have been supporting businesses and education institutions and also government organizations to try and narrow down where the digital skills gap is coming from. So we want to focus on coding, AI, and cyber. And the way we do that is we help governments first build a strategy and understand what that gap looks like. So we work with businesses across all countries to try and understand what that country's requirements are and what the needs are in those businesses and why the skills gap exists. We then speak to the government on basis of what should be done in schools, colleges, and then in higher education. And then also away from all of that, as how vocational education can fill the gaps in the digital skills. So our client value proposition, first of all, is that we want to train more teachers all across the world. Now, we train teachers so that they can teach coding, AI, and cyber, regardless of what subject they train people in. So whether they're a computer science teacher or whether they are a primary school teacher teaching English, shouldn't make a difference, because in order for us to fill the digital skills gap all across the world, we need to get the next generation excited. And the people who need to get those children excited or the next generation excited are those who are training them. So we focus mainly on providing skills to teachers so that they can introduce coding, AI, and cyber through the subjects they already teach. So whether it's a university lecturer teaching mechanics, we want to show them how coding can be introduced there, or whether they're a secondary education or vocational education trainer who's teaching mathematics, we want to show them how coding and AI can be used there as well. Okay, so in our teacher training sport package, we start with a methodology handbook for teachers. So this is where we highlight both for the teachers and for the government organizations as to what are the gaps that needs to be filled in those teaching organizations. And then we move into providing a complete curriculum at a British education standards. And in that curriculum, we provide lesson plans, we provide all the training, and we give them all the schemes of work so that the teachers don't feel like they need to go away and create their own lessons or teaching materials. So we put all of this on a nice e-learning platform and give it to the teachers to start teaching straight away. So they get training, they get a handbook, and then they get the curriculum to go with it as well. So on the e-learning platform, you can probably see that we've got a couple of images here, and we provide courses right from Microsoft Office 365, ranging all the way through to very advanced coding languages. And the idea is that we want the teachers and the trainers to have access to material so that they can teach these digital skills without having the need to develop any teaching material themselves. Also for students as well, those coming out of higher education or in vocational education, we want them to try different digital skills courses, not just be narrowed down to one or two. So although we teach coding, AI, and cyber, we also want them to try out things like digital marketing and e-safety courses, so that they really get their hands and their heads around as to how digital skills gap actually exists and what they can do to close that gap down. So the next value proposition or offer we have is our online coding boot camps. So we provide coding boot camps for youth all across Europe and also in Azerbaijan, in Saudi Arabia, in India, and of course here in the UK. The boot camps are designed to help the next generation understand how coding it can be applied in the real workforce. So everything that we do in these boot camps are designed to help them get a job straight away as soon as they finish the boot camp. The boot camps are between 12 to 16 weeks long. So the students attend the lessons online through live teaching. And in the boot camps, we train them to learn the skills in coding, AI, and cyber, which are required by the employers. And when they learn the skills, we then put them forward for the interviews with those employers. So it doesn't matter which country it is, we will first pick out number of tech employers who are looking for the workforce. We will then train the workforce and put them in front of them. So it's a 12 to 16 a week boot camps, which usually runs for 60 students, and we teach coding, AI, and web development. That's our focus. Now, we started the cyber boot camps because cybersecurity is becoming a massive digital skills gap that needs to be closed down across the world. So it's available to students who are age 16 plus, regardless where they are in the world and regardless whether they have university education or not. We want to open this to everybody. We run boot camps where students from various different countries join in. Now, the students can pay for the boot camps themselves, or we run models directly for the governments where the government can fund the boot camps and we will provide the full teaching package behind it. So some of the skills that are taught in the boot camp and what's included is the main coding languages such as the C#, SQL, HTML, and so on. But the idea behind it is to understand the life cycles of software development so that students really get their head around as to what the employers are looking for. How does a piece of software get built? And we don't want them to just get into a job. We want to encourage the next generation to learn to code, learn about cyber, learn about AI, do these boot camps so that they can go and build their own companies in coding, AI, and cyber, because we need more tech development, but we need more tech developers to go along with it as well. So the idea behind our bootcamp is to try and fill the digital skills gap, which is requested by the employers, and our teacher training packages are there to help those who are in a younger age groups. So we've got a couple of case studies. We're currently working with the Estonian government and also the Turkish government as well, where we've been helping them with the digital skills boot camps in cyber and AI. And we are training up about 200 students in each country to get into employment and also to set up their own businesses. We're working with about 40 employers in Turkey and about another 35 in Estonia. Okay, so in summary, we are providing 3 different services across the globe. First one is we provide teacher training to upskill teachers to be able to teach coding, AI, and cyber, both in schools and colleges, but also in higher education. We deliver this both online and face-to-face. So we go out to the respective country and we do 2 weeks training with the teachers there, or we can deliver it online. The next offer is that we provide digital skills platform for training organizations and businesses. This is our e-learning platform, fully loaded with resources and lessons already done, so that teachers, businesses can upskill their staff. And then lastly is the coding boot camps, which I've just discussed. So coding and cyber boot camps are there to upskill the next generation and get them into work. And my contact details are here, but please do find me on LinkedIn and connect with me, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions at the end of today.
Well, really good to have you on board. Really interesting as well to hear about the diversity that you offer in coding and AI. And we do have some questions that have come in for you, so do hang around. Great to be able to pose those questions. So thanks so much indeed. So moving on, we have Catherine Langford, who's from the Education Training Foundation. And Catherine joins us. She's actually delivered a session already. So this is a great follow-up on a slightly different subject. She's got over 30 years of experience within schools and further education, colleges, general and land-based, adult and community learning. Catherine has delivered training nationally for nearly 20 years, coaching and nurturing peers in the further education sector, planning and developing continuous professional development. As a lead CPD trainer, Catherine works across ETF to deliver CPD pedagogies, as well as delivering CPD programs and CPD for self-improvement.
Thank you, Jonathan, and welcome to everyone, regardless of geography or time zone. It's really nice to be with you. So I work for the Education and Training Foundation, who delivers CPD across the further education and skills sector. So we work with teachers, but we also work with leaders in the education sector. We balance government policy with sector need, and we try to maintain that sort of high quality CPD that produces confidence and skills building for teachers, but has real impact in the classroom with their learners and their students. So all the courses we deliver include that opportunity to have that underpinning research, strategy and skills within it, models effective teaching practice, and also helps participants to think of ways that they can actively put that into their own training and teaching that they do with their students. It's about being informed by practice, but it's also about responding to students and their needs. So we try to model that in the CPD that we deliver to professionals. And at ETF, we build our CPD around the 20 professional standards for teachers within the further education and skills sector. So we're talking about vocational teachers, we're talking about technical teachers, teachers who have perhaps industry skills and expertise that they want to share with young people, but who also want to build on those professional skills and professionalisation of their work as a teacher. So I'm just going to sort of model, if you like, some of the way that we deliver the training in the hope that you'll get a feel to what CPD looks like in terms of engaging and motivating teachers and with the impact, we hope, of them engaging and motivating their students within the classroom. So this session that I thought to deliver to you was on that higher order thinking skill. We've heard others talk about this within their as well, because employers want young people, adults who can think outside the box, who can problem solve, how can use those higher order skills of creating, evaluating, analysing and synthesising, as well as having that underpinning knowledge within what they do. So we try to sort of identify the importance of those skills within learners. And again, when you're working with teachers, if they understand the culture and the ethos and the aspiration for young people, they can really think about how they can make those learner-centred approaches for learners and students developing their own responsibility for their learning. So planning that within sessions and encouraging teachers to not just think about what they'd like learners to become competent with, but what they'd really like them to become expert or have mastery of. So we talk about those underpinning skills of remembering, which might be about describing, listing, or just sharing information. But we also try to extend that to think, well, what would an innovative student look like? How could they perhaps manage situations? How could they discuss things in a critically informed way? And we'll give time in our CPD sessions for teachers to do that and explore their own higher order thinking skills as they try to develop ways for stretching their students. So we encourage interactive and collaborative strategies that have no right or wrong answers. They encourage that sort of weighing information, create new thinking and innovation, and also that justification and that underpinning idea of what's right and what's wrong, and where do we need to take this in terms of a good direction to move forward. So within the CPD session, we might ask teachers to work around various problems. We use a Diamond 9 technique, perhaps where they're given 12 choices and then they have to select 9, and then they have to put those 9 into order of priority. And of course, in a collaborative environment with discussion, with question and answer with peers and colleagues, that allows for debate, rationalising, thinking. So for the example I've got here is we might ask them to look at role play, dictation, debate, puzzles, or copying a diagram, and try to think which of those would have a higher cognitive load on the students that they're working with. So when we're talking to teachers, they often use questions to get that sort of higher order thinking skills for their learners. And we, again, would model questioning and trying to get them to think about the types of questions we ask, and do those really stretch and challenge learners to become more independent thinkers. And one of the biggest things I think for us is how long often teachers wait to get answers from their students. And often it's 1 second or less, which can seem like a long time when you're working with learners, but actually doesn't encourage them to delve deeper or think about what they're doing. So we give examples of high classroom questioning. We'll model that in the CPD sessions that we're running. And we'll also give them perhaps scaffolding techniques from other good practice websites. One is perhaps from Teacher Toolkit, where they look at a questioning matrix. Others might be from awarding organisations, so the people who are running the qualifications, to see, you know, what language do they use, how do students need to understand that language in order to present those higher order thinking skills with what they're doing. So we will think about the impact of professional development, because it's really important that we're encouraging our learners to develop those skills, to create and move things in a more forward direction. But for the staff, we're not just modelling techniques, we're giving them ideas and strategies. And part of the time in our CPD sessions will be to get them to think about their own learning, think about the steps that they can take to put those in practice, and how perhaps they can transform and intervene in their students' thinking skills. So when we look at the Department for Education, and they stated in 2016 that teaching does require knowledge and skill, and many teachers will start with that, but we need to develop it still further. And Dylan William, who's renowned as a worldwide figure in terms of education and looking at what works and doesn't work in teaching, has said that really investing in staff development is really important because of the impact that that has on learners in the classroom. So as I've said, ETF is engaged in the process of workforce development. We work across qualifications such as the new technical qualifications of T-levels. We also work across some of those underpinning skills that teachers need, like safeguarding, safe use of data, underpinning development, maths and English skills, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in my session tomorrow. But it's really important that teachers have access to high quality CPD, and we also offer CPD to leaders who are leading those education establishments. Whatever practice you're engaged in and whatever sector really you're working, we concentrate on post-14 learners, but we also reach into higher education. And ETF also has a membership body, the Society for Education and Training, who look at that professionalism, that status of teachers, and how we can continue to stretch and support our teachers to develop their skills and to focus on learners what works for learners, and what will have the biggest impact in the classroom.
Catherine, thank you so much indeed, and a very different offer that you've set out there, and you know, pedagogies and learning methods that, you know, people probably just don't think about. So I think it's personally fascinating, and it must really help learners and students as well. And we've already got a couple of questions that have come in for you, so do stick around for the Q&A session. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
Pleasure. Okay, moving on. So we now have Claire Montague from NCFE Awarding Organisation. As I said earlier, the awarding organisation does so much more than just awarding. So we do need Claire to talk us through. Claire is the Sector Manager for Health, Science and Social Care with a background in social care and education. Claire has worked in a leadership capacity across care services as well as in schools, further education and higher education settings. In her current role, she collaborates with the sector to gain intelligence, keep abreast of initiatives, advocate investment for the workforce. As part of an end-to-end process, she is committed to ensuring that their offer grows and is simultaneously aligned and evolving with the health and social care sector. And so, you know, we're really happy to have Claire here because there's so much happening. Over to you, Claire, and we can see your presentation.
Lovely. Thanks, Jonathan. So, as you said, my name is Claire Montague and I'm the Sector Manager for Health, Science and Social Care at the awarding organisation, NCFE. So, I wanted to open a presentation this afternoon by considering, first of all, the changing environment for health and social care in the UK and the impact that these drivers have on the workforce, specifically in relation to workforce skill sets. So by starting and setting the scene, I hope it will set the stage for the rest of the presentation. So looking at the evolving landscape, first and foremost, the health and social care system belongs in every community. However, we do know there are many challenges which pose a potential threat to the delivery and quality of services. We celebrate that we're living longer, of course we do, but we need to recognise that many more of us are developing long-term health conditions. Lifestyle factors are contributing to chronic disease, as are the wider determinants of ill health. So demographic forecasts suggest that more people will require more care in the future and that their needs will become more complex. So of course this is going to impact on our health and social care services and actually is further exacerbated as the workforce is not increasing in line with care demands. Turning to service models, there's very much now focus on prevention with the intention of reducing or delaying the need to access health and social care services. So consider, for example, the importance and role of early intervention strategies, assistive technologies, promotion of active healthy living, processes of behaviour change, reablement and self-care. Simultaneously, the need for care and support in community settings is too increasing, and so its vital capacity is built where assets are brought together to facilitate and strengthen provision. There are also higher expectations of service delivery in relation to what health and social care can and should be delivering. So turning slightly, the social, political, economic, environmental and regulatory world we live in presents health and care with further demands. However, we must recognise with demands comes opportunities, and it must be these that are acknowledged and capitalised upon. The interdependence of health and social care is increasingly evident and important as both sectors face similar pressures. So the sustainability of each is dependent on the success of the other, where fully integrated services will ultimately enable coordinated care. Care will also continue to benefit from research, technology and innovation, and this in itself will ultimately impact on the shape, size and skill sets of the workforce. So in summary, to respond to these drivers, employers need to be able to invest in a workforce that is skilled and knowledgeable, and the workforce needs to be able to work in different ways in perhaps emerging organisations. So that means new skill sets may need to be developed and implemented. Ultimately, practitioners must be able to work collaboratively in partnership, ensure personalised care, harness those new technologies and promote independence. So it's about instilling values central to practice. Turning now to focus on social care, the government in the policy paper, People at the Heart of Care, Adult Social Care Reform, have set out a 10-year vision for adult social care and provide information on funded proposals that will be implemented over the next 3 years. And in line with the drivers that I've just given an overview of, there is very much a focus on personalised care. So it's very aligned, where people have choice, control and support to live independent lives. There's a focus on sustainability, but in particular of supporting those sustainable care markets, a focus on integrated practices and driving the integration of health and social care provision, that focus on prevention to include the development of those preventative services, to increasing the care and support options available to people, and providing the right information and advice to allow them to plan for the future. 2, there's a focus on technology and digital transformation, achieve that widespread digitalisation. There's also a focus on the role of unpaid carers, recognising their contribution and a commitment to ensure that they are treated fairly. So it's about kickstarting a change in services to support. But importantly, there's a real focus and drive to ensure an empowered and rewarded workforce. So that's one that's recognised and valued for their skills and commitment. Within this, the government have pledged to invest £5.4 billion over 3 years, and as a minimum £500 million to revolutionise the way the social care workforce is supported. And within this, key is the development of a universal knowledge and skills framework with identified career pathways to support progression. And this is to be backed by a linked investment in learning and development. There's also a commitment to promote workforce wellbeing. There are plans for the creation of a new digital hub to enable the work, which will also provide access to a learning and development portable log. So a record of training undertaken, qualifications undertaken, skill sets gained, which will be transferable. So the goal of this strategy for the workforce is to create both a qualified and, importantly, valued workforce, able to work in that integrated way to provide that outstanding personalised care. So the intention is to be able to hear practitioners in adult social care say, social care is a rewarding career with clear opportunities to develop and progress, where I feel valued in my role. I feel recognised for my existing skills and I'm able to develop new skills and take on new challenges as I become more experienced. I have the confidence to use technology that supports people's needs and frees up time to deliver outstanding care. And I'm able to work effectively with professionals from other organisations, including the NHS, Housing and Community Services, learning from each other's practice and support each other to achieve shared goals. So what's our role? Well, as an awarding organisation, we work across the health, social care and education sector to support, to grow and develop a caring quality workforce. To ensure our offer reflects the national agenda and associate priorities, we readily engage and build strategic partnerships with others, such as government departments, professional bodies, public sector organisations, regulatory bodies, as well as subject matter experts, employers, and importantly, learners, to obtain that key sector intelligence. So our qualifications meet the evolving needs, where quality training results in positive outcomes for all. Our regulated qualifications, which provide a benchmark of quality, so a measure of external validation, are nationally recognised and owned by NCFE. Of course, it's inevitable that the evolving nature of health and social care sector will impact on the approach to qualification offered in order to develop a skilled and diverse workforce, and one that is enabled to embrace such rapid change. So please let me just introduce you to our portfolio at a very high level. We offer a full range of qualifications ranging from level 1 to level 5. Some of these qualifications provide an introduction to the sector, so preparing for work, whilst others confirm occupational competence and so are reflective of different roles and responsibilities across the workforce. We too have a range of qualifications with technical status, so they empower learners for the future, equipping them with core knowledge alongside industry relevant skills, preparing for progression to further study, employment, or even higher education. Many of our products, though, have been developed to support continuous professional development. So the qualifications do meet diverse needs of learners, from new entrants, from that preparing to work, to experienced practitioners. They reflect the priorities which we've identified, as well as create career opportunities and pathways for all. Moving away from our regulated qualifications, our accreditation and employer services are for organisations that want to give their own bespoke in-house training and qualifications something extra, so with official recognition. We have two different products to choose from, being customised qualifications and endorsed programmes. So as an overview, customised qualifications are the perfect solution for your organisation if you have training needs that regulated qualifications aren't meeting. So they are unregulated qualifications that are written and owned by you whilst being benchmarked against national qualification framework. And they do have set learning outcomes and assessment criteria. So with customised qualifications, we will accredit your qualification and issue your certificates, which will demonstrate the new skills, knowledge and competence that your employees or delegates have achieved. The other product, our endorsed programs, will suit your organisation if you have informal, continuous professional development training activities with no formal assessment criteria, but that you would really like to be quality benchmarked. So with the endorsed programs, we give you the freedom to issue certificates of attendance and completion for your delegates without having to request them from us, but you are able to add our endorsed logo to your certificate to sit by side with your own branding, supporting to reinforce the quality of your training. So our customised qualifications and endorsed programs are the perfect fit if you're looking to develop and upskill through continuous professional development, if you're looking to address skills gaps with an accredited bespoke in-house solution, if you're looking to align learning programs to business goals, or if you're looking to create and embed a culture of learning. So to pull all this together, oh, sorry, no, actually, just let me tell you about our support teams. We have a range of teams to support the delivery of our products and services, being their regulated qualifications or our non-regulated offer. So we have a dedicated business development team within which there is an international arm. We have in-house sector managers and subject specialists, and they're on hand to support and advise in relation to sector-related queries. Furthermore, we have our provider development team for onboarding and ongoing continuous teaching and learning support. And last but not least, we have our quality team to include our dedicated external quality assurers. So now I'll talk about the case study. So to bring everything discussed together, I'd like to share an international case study with you to illustrate the development of a customised programme which fulfils and enhances skills. So NCFE have been working with Save the Children, an influential charity, since 2017 on a competency-based approach to assessment with a clear aim to strengthen the social care workforce. The competence-based programme is called Compact. So Compact is a really exciting initiative that has been piloted with child protection colleagues in Asia. It is based on Save the Children's behavioural competency framework and technical competence framework to offer staff qualifications and accreditation that is relevant to their specific role within the organisation. For child protection staff in Save the Children, this means they can aim for achieving a child protection qualification at a level appropriate to their role. So there's qualifications at leading edge, accomplished or at a skilled level. So through this scheme, participants demonstrate and provide evidence of their competence and professionalism against a clear set of standards that are comparable across the whole Save the Children movement. And the scheme can enable child protection staff to develop a clearer career path and a further reason to feel valued, committed and inspired. So all participants are allocated an assessor for technical support, and these mentor them through the process of assessment and accreditation, and NCFE accredit the Compact programme. So staff throughout are encouraged to make the most out of everyday experiences in their roles and development goals to generate evidence against these set competencies. Where there are gaps in evidence, staff will be directed to relevant training and or experiences within their role, which will enable them to generate further evidence. Today, internal staff at Save the Children have seen graduates in several roles. This includes District Child Protection Officers in India, which is a role that is aligned to the social worker in the UK, a community cadre role, which is a village support responsibility for children, young people and families, once more in India. And we've also seen graduates at caseworkers and case supervisors in Myanmar. So there is now growth across two further thematic areas. So that's underway. So child sensitive social poverty and food security, as well as children's rights. So the accreditation partnership is very much valued by Save the Children. It's even showcased as best practice with other non-government organisations, including close work with UNICEF. So this partnership is leading the way in strengthening the social care workforce internationally. Changes are already underway as a result of the programme, and in India, the ministry has adopted the community cadre programme, so that village support role and responsibility, and mandates this across several regions. So this is a huge step forward for child protection and children's rights, and it all started with Compact. So we're extremely privileged to have been involved from the very start. It's been a real team effort, a strategic partnership that we're all very proud of, and significantly, of course, hope for a better future for children, young people and families through the creation of a stronger, competent workforce. So to close, I just wanted to share with you feedback from Claire Alsop, who is a learning specialist at Save the Children. Claire says, working with NCFE has undoubtedly enhanced the professionalisation and credibility of the programme. The competency-based approach to accreditation is even more relevant and accessible to our participants, given the practical nature of their day-to-day work. So Compact accredits staff who, for the most part, do not have a formal qualification in the area of work and expertise, such as child protection and child's rights. So this has enabled us to recognise and document their achievements, which hasn't been possible previously. As well as benefiting individual learners, as this helps their managers, often themselves not experts in this area, to understand the level of expertise of their staff. So the partnership with NCFE has given the scheme and accreditation a level of credibility and rigour that we could not have achieved independently, from the design of individual qualifications to the training and support for assessors to the quality assurance processes. Our learners have reported feeling more recognised and valued for their professional expertise, and even more motivated to continue delivering impact for children. This has also had an impact on our staff retention. Participants who have completed the programme feel more supported and clear about their career development within the organisation, with some also leveraging their accreditation to move into more senior roles and responsibilities. Okay, so that brings my slot to an end. I really hope you found this overview useful, and thank you very, very much for listening. And of course, if you would like more information regarding how we can support you, we'd be very happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. I certainly found it really interesting, and particularly around the range and the diversity of all the levels and types of qualifications that NCFE work on with employers. So it's, you know, it's really fantastic to see that range, and it looks like you can kind of do anything. So really glad that you came on and explained it. So thanks very much indeed for your time, and do stick around for that Q&A session.
Will do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Now we have to close off the session for today, not for the SkillsFest Forever, of course. We got 2 more sessions left. So we have Metaverse Learning on now, and Majid Al-Kahada, co-founder of Metaverse Learning, is a creative and driven entrepreneur, and is a consummate business executive. So let me just check and make sure Majid is there. Yeah, there he is. He's just coming online now. Okay, and he has an excellent commercial, educational and technical background. Majid has accomplished and established many technology sophisticated businesses and has over 25 years experience in digital technologies, virtual reality, virtual environment and augmented reality. And I tell you, this session is going to blow your mind. This is a company that we love and has great potential in any education setting. So watch this and be amazed. Majid, if you're there, there you are.
Many thanks, Jonathan.
We can see and hear you. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, where we are. Hopefully you can enjoy the session. As Jonathan said, I kind of going to present to you some kind of really great examples about how you can make immersive learning solutions. So let's hope enjoy this. I mean, our session always 15 minutes, but we will share with you lots of videos, and then we can have the presentation and slide available for you to access most of the slide you have there. Right, so let's just start. So what is Metaverse? What we do, we kind of, I'm not going to read a lot of bullet points. I'm just going to put a slide quickly and then really keen to go to the examples as quick as I can. So we're expert in mixed reality, and we are not only technologists, but we're educationalists. So we understand about education, how the learner receive information and what they kind of need. The business model we have, we create consortia to develop programs in partnership with lots of kind of organizations. So NCFE, for example, one of our partners, we have colleges, universities, employers. So we all together develop programs led by us. So basically, that's what we do. We kind of focus on the practical element of learning. So the thing that's difficult to explain, where the learner normally they go in real life situation to practice, where they make mistakes, they waste material and so on. So our kind of simulated environment to overcome most of this problem. This is a quick slide. I'm not going to read any of the kind of people here. We have lots of organization, over 100 partners we have in the UK, and that number going every single day. So what the problem is trying to solve, it's really about the learning experience, how kind of very difficult to explain practical element of learning. You know, in situation, you most of the time you say what if scenario, but what we do in our program, we create this what if scenario, we let the learner do it, experience it, and then play with that environment. So that's will kind of tackle things like poor the engagement for learners, and the high cost of delivery as well. And then things like material cost, for example, we have many evidence how it could reduce that kind of part of learning. And then to us as well, more bridging the gaps between the learners and the tutors, because tutors normally have a different generation from the learners, and the learners expect more technology and enhanced learning, hence why our application well tried and tested as well. So now, going to show you examples, lots of examples. I normally ask the audience about what they like to see, but obviously I can't. So I'm going to pick up 4 or 5 examples based on my time. So I'm going to kind of pick up one of the example here in this one in nursing. So I'm showing the videos. Normally it takes half an hour to go through a scenario, typically speaking, to 40 minutes. This one, for example, scenario about nursing. What you will see here, you'll have task, and then you get a job card. And then if you do nursing, as example, say, okay, you basically are on your own, go through the program, do the PPE, you got options, you choose mistakes, you make mistakes maybe, but you learn from mistakes. Certain thing we do visual test. So like what you see here, you press the camera for 4 seconds, you see how that color change and say, okay, that was you, what would you do? So I could be a tutor in front of a classroom and ask the learners what they think, or I can do it as a learner in my own. The beauty about what you see in here, delivered fully online, so the end user don't have to go and buy a headset. They can access it from wherever they are using standard machines and like laptops and tablets. Or now we have a new version of all the program using a headset to trial that. There is a sound effect with everything we do, but I muted my sound. There is, for example, phone rings in the background. You got patient coughs in the background. So when a panic learner as well to see how they're going to react, we make the patient, in this case, his health will get worse, so his breathing will get worse later. So when I see they panic, here, for example, we do instrumental test. So I'm going to take a sugar level to see is that high or is it low. We can randomize all these numbers later on if required. And so on. So basically carry on with the test, really engaging, very easy to use. And then we capture every single step the learner would do to give them a certificate of completion at the end. Here's, for example, you do X-ray before, ECG, and so on. So you get a result at the end. And then we got a new method of capturing that data and showing, which I'll share with you, something we haven't not released yet. You're the first people to see it today, and then hopefully we'll release it in the coming few weeks. So this kind of one example, you got like healthcare. If I choose another kind of scenario, say in welding and fabrication, this one we just launched about 2 weeks ago. So what happened in real life situation, and it doesn't matter whatever practical element you teach students, you normally put them in a small little bay area to explain to them, here is what you do, you order all the material for them, you make the area safe, because that is the duty of the institution, have to do that. So you miss out a lot of their learning. So what we do in our program, we'll let the learner do everything. We'll let them kind of think about what geometry, what math, for example, without telling them this is math module. So they can start thinking about it from the beginning to end. They need to order the material. If they order too much, we'll tell them that is waste. If they order too little, that wastes on time. So we'll let them kind of go there. They can choose a PPE, what kind of equipment they need based on the task. And we don't do a generic thing. It's not about here's PPE modules, health and safety for the whole thing. It's based on what you do, based on the task you do. But in this situation here, we tell them, okay, before you go on site, what do you do? And get them to choose the kind of and make mistakes, as you can see there. And basically, once you've done that, you go into your bay and you will start looking into the process, and then you do a task from beginning to end. That will include how you do, for example, the speed, the angle of your torch, until you finish at the end, and you do quality assurance to see the kind of what you did. And then what we do in the program, we depends on how you did in the scenario. We show you a good weld or a bad weld based on that. So lots of that, but if I'm just going to skip that for you just at the end, just keen to show you the result of the scenario. But in the program, obviously, you can't skip. You have to go through everything. But if I just take you to the end of the scenario, if you want to get the headset, you feel the heat, you feel everything in there. This is basically what you see at the end. You get certificate of completion, and then you can click on any of this answer, and we'll tell you what you got, why you got a question wrong, but we'll tell you as well if you got a question right to say you've done that correct, which is great. But obviously to say, I'm not going to get into practical training. I want you to go back again and repeat it until you pass 100%. The other way we do kind of programs, sometimes we do it based on like a tutorial e-learning type of thing. So here I'm showing you something we did recently about electrical vehicle charging point installation. So what we've done in this scenario is we created a number of environments. You got domestic, you got commercial, but we created a virtual tutor. So here, as soon as I start the scenario, I will go into that house and the virtual tutor will waiting for me, and then he will take me around and he will say to me, here's what you should do when you meet the customer, what you should do. So take it from soft skills, take you all the technical, take you around the house, show you how you can install it, how you make it area safe. Once you've done that scenario, then we'll say, go back to an installation scenario and then install a whole kind of ECB in a house or in a commercial environment. And as you can see how that can get the learner engaged. He's talking to me, but as I'm muting my audio, but it just basically take me everywhere and I can click on anything and he will tell me more details about that. So basically what happened in this situation, I have my tutor with me all year round whenever I want to. So yeah, you can see the whole kind of wide range of things in catalog we created. I might show you just one more in the learning side. And as I said, you can have access to other scenarios if required. So this is, for example, another example of plastering module. This is based on a whole construction suite. So you do bricklaying to build a house, you do carpentry to put all the windows and the frames, and then you do plaster the wall, and you got students do tiling and painting and decorating. So basically build the house from beginning to end based on the qualification you study. And again, very similar what I've done before. I take you through lots and lots of scenario based where you have to go and play and learn about what you do in plastering. So yeah, it's basically that's kind of one way to do it. I'm going to kind of move to something else now to show you. I don't know if you have your phone on you, but I really recommend if you got your phone, please you get phone while I'm showing you something else. Scan that QR code. We show you how we do AR. We do AR based on we do put this QR code throughout our learning program, throughout our scenarios to say get the QR code, scan it, and then suddenly you will have, in this case, this is part of the health and social care we did in the nursing, you will have a heart or a lung on your phone augmented in the background of your own room, and you can zoom and you can zoom out. You can actually put your hand closer, physically put the phone towards the lung, and you see that in the 3D. And this is how we normally access that. If you hadn't had time to see it, no problem, we can send you the slide and you can do it later on. So the student basically can do exactly that, go through that, put the QR code, and suddenly they have, in this case, a heart flashing on their hand, and you can see it. And that's part of the learner engagement, and it's part of the student will tell each other, did you find this and did you find that? By talking about it, they learn about it. I mentioned about two kind of scenarios we've done, not scenarios, two features we created, which is cutting edge technology. As far as I know, no one else done this before. So this is kind of way how, as a supervisor, I can see what my learner did. So I can click on this, for example, if you imagine that if I'm the tutor here, I want to access the student what they did. Rather than look at a certificate of completion, I can play back what the learner did, but not as a video. I can go virtually to see what the person did, where they went, what the kind of step they did. And I've got that bar on the top here showing me where the student got things in green, which is correct, the one in red, which is wrong. I can move into that step if I want to, and then either I can look at the learner from above, or I can go inside the virtual body of the learner. I can stop that at any time, and I can talk to the learner to say, okay, what do you think? Why did you do wrong? Let me explain to you in a better way. So basically explain it and then help them out how they can do that in a far much better way than you got a flat certificate of completion at the end of your scenario. So this is what we call our replay mode, and now we are going to implement in all our scenario from now on. And that will show you how you can log the camera and see actually what the learner did. So that's just a quick snippet of that. The other feature we created, I keep looking at my time because I know I have to stop in 5 minutes. This is one, it's again, unique technology. I'm demonstrating here to you screen by screen, but you don't do that in real life. So the learner could be at home, supervisor could be anywhere in the world. As soon as the supervisor accesses the scenario, the learner will know the supervisor there. And in this case, they can talk to each other to say, I need your help. So basically, as soon as they can chat by text, they can chat by audio or video. So supervisor can access the session where the student is. They can see the student where the student is, and then they can help them. They can click on a pin in here to say, look, here's what you need to do. And you can pin virtually where that is, and the student can see how that could be solved. So in this case, you can be there with the student to tell them how it works. That could be for us used for assessment as well as for learning. So you can imagine that you can hide your character and you can see what the learner did from beginning to end and how they kind of reach out to that. Far much better than traditional multiple choices and drag and drop. So that's the kind of supervisor mode, which again, that will be released hopefully in the coming weeks. I'm going to move to that last thing I'm going to show you here, and Jonathan, I promise I'm going to stop. This is something we launched yesterday, and
Majid,
yeah.
sorry, you are actually okay because we left you till last because we knew you'd rabbit a lot, so you've got a little extra time, so no problem.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for that. So I kind of I'm going to show you one final thing here, which we released yesterday, and this is what we call our Metaverse campus. So this is different. This is different type of solution. This is not learning. We created a platform over the last 3 years, and it's a platform to enable us to create a virtual campus, virtual college, university, call it what we call it, whatever that is, we build it. And then basically what we do, we hand, if you like, that environment to you and to say all the content within that environment, you can modify it yourself. Really, really easy to modify. Anyone would have no knowledge about programming at all, they can do that themselves. So that I'm going to show you again video. Jonathan said I can have time, so I can maybe even show you how I can quickly go into the campus and work around it myself. So this one is available, and I'll show you the website shortly. So basically, you got that campus we designed, and then you'll be able to walk around. You'll be able to go, for example, to reception, book an appointment, and you can look at anywhere you want. And we're going to develop this bit by bit. But for phase one, we lease that campus to anybody. So you can use it part of create like a website in a 3D if you like, or it could be you got different links to selection. You can if we have other learner or tutor or student there, we can click on their character and we can have audio chat and video chat. We want them. That's what you see virtual character there. If they have a picture of themselves, you can take a selfie. We created a cinema room as well, which you can have your own lectures in there as well. This part here, this is great data analytics as well. So you can, at any time, you can go there and see how actually a virtual campus did, when the student access, what information they have, what kind of support they have. This is the editor to show you how easy to edit things. So as simple as I have the virtual space, I can click on table, chairs, TV, iPad, anything, change the property, change the color, add any link I want to any of my external resources, video files externally, my learning management system, boom, done. And that is truly half an hour training. We can give you how the system works, and you can do that. And you can access the kind of campus easily by clicking on if you want to have more information about it. So basically, it's called a Metaverse Campus. Is this one here, and metaversecampus.co.uk, which I will share with you the link. And I encourage you to go there yourself. This is the video I shared with you. But if you go there here, you can either visit the campus yourself or click on Edit Campus, show you a tutorial how you can edit a campus. Once you've done that, you go there online and you can add yourself, edit all the content you need to do. So that will show you how you can walk around. This is the editor basically, and you, as simple as you can click on that plus. I won't show you a lot, but I'm just going to show you, for example, if I move desk, you can move desk, you can change the color, you can have the link, you can upload your video, add that, and you can add the video you want, and then you can change location of anything you want, change the color, change the logo, click on the logo, upload your own logo, boom, done. You can change the logo as you want, save it. Once you've done all that, click on visitor. That will show you how the visitor will see this. So you can use it for career advice, for getting engagement between employers and learners, between students and parents and tutors, for example, doing this kind of immersive environment. Yeah, so that's what we try to kind of use all the tricks we can to help the learners, help the tutors and the education or commercial companies to convey that messages for learners. Look, it's easy, it is fun at the end of the day, and how we can mix everything together there. I'm going to stop, Jonathan, because I know we had Q&A, so I'm going to stop that and see if anyone have any questions.
Oh, Majid, thank you so much indeed. Really brilliant. I hope the audience agrees as well. This is mind-blowing stuff that you're doing here. And, you know, we're ever so proud and grateful that you're on board. You know, we're working with you. All I was going to do is this. It's mind-blowing. So thank you so much indeed. If all our speakers could come back online, we'll get on with the Q&A session just so that everyone can depart on time. So that would be great. So if we could have Claire and Fabienne and John and Catherine and Manny, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
You're there, that's great. We know you're having camera problems, so don't worry.
Okay.
Just checking Claire and Catherine and Majid. Yeah, Manny, we got, that's it. Right, we've got everyone. Okay, so fantastic. Where do we start with the questions? Because, you know, literally there are loads and loads of questions. So let's start in order. Fabienne, are your qualifications valid in the Caribbean, and can you help our training centre to be upskilled so that we can be approved to deliver your qualifications?
Yes, yes, and yes. So our qualifications are recognised across the world. They have international accreditation recognition. We've worked in the Caribbean and have some approved centres there already. I'd be very happy and delighted to talk to anybody who's interested about the approval process. So whoever's asked the question, if they want to get my contact details on the chat, drop me a line and I'll talk you through it. It's very straightforward. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And another question for you. You mentioned the creative sector. Can you tell me how you develop qualifications in the creative sector?
Yes, so it's not me personally because I'm not particularly creative, I'll be honest with you, but we have a team of specialists and we work with industry directly. So I mentioned some of the big names that we work with around Screen Skills and the BBC, etc. But we have a real supportive network of industry experts that help develop the content. Like the apprenticeship model of education, qualifications is now very much employer-led. So we have to bring in industry, have to bring in employers, and my colleagues from other awarding bodies will recognise the reforms to qualifications that require this level of employer input. It's a good thing. You know, we aren't the experts in the subject areas, but we do know how to develop qualifications in the framework. So we've got, you know, really great support network from the creative and cultural sector. So industry and employer-led.
Thank you so much indeed. John, they particularly loved the field ready model, and it says we love the linking of skills and employment. What's the process to get this into Jamaica?
Gosh, invite me down. No, we'd love to hear from you. It's a system that happily can be implemented really anywhere in the world because it's based on real world situations, real world skills that people have or don't have, and what employers are looking for. So I'd be happy to chat with you about it.
Great, and your contact details are in the chat and they'll be available afterwards as well. You mentioned the success of the field ready model, and we can see by your enthusiasm that there's lots of success and wins from it. Do you know what percentage of people that go into the program come out with jobs or progress onto employment at some point in the future or other learning?
I don't really have those statistics because we don't really measure it that way, to be honest with you. What we're doing is trying to develop the employability of people in general. And that doesn't necessarily mean moving into one job and staying there permanently. Although I happily tell you that that is often the case. We had a program that we developed for a sustainable timber company in Ghana, in rural Ghana, that started the program. The factory started, and we were a part of the beginning of it. And I can say that the people that we trained, I think it's about 80% of them are still there in management, managing it. So there is, I think, a lot of retention that happens with that, but that isn't necessarily the goal. It's really developing skills with people that are lifelong skills.
Fantastic. Thank you so much indeed. And the next question actually says, you know, it is fantastic to hear about the School of Coding. So it's a question from Annie. And the boot camps, we need these in Brazil. How can we get them set up, and how long does it take to actually get them set up?
Okay, so first of all, the answer is we can definitely set them up in Brazil. We already have students from Brazil who learn to code with us. So the door's already open. To set them up, usually it takes 2 months for us to put all the infrastructure together. Now, we have a very simple model. As I explained earlier, either the government can fund them or the students can fund them directly. And my contact details already been shared, but I'll share it again. Here you are. Connect with me on LinkedIn and just drop me a message on there, and we can take the conversation forward from there.
Fantastic. Thank you. Next question for you. Your coding courses look great, and it looks like a good range too. Can they be white branded so that they have our logo on, or is it always on your system?
No, 100%. We've got about 300 institutions across the globe who currently use our white labeling methodology. So we give you the e-learning platform with all the courses on there, but without our branding. Again, more than happy to talk about that as well.
Good. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you. So now we move on to Catherine. Our teachers in Barbados need help developing their skills. How can we implement a robust training program like the one you've mentioned?
I think setting up the right culture to start with around that professional learning and collaborative groups. And at ETF, we offer the sort of materials, but we also encourage that whole organisation approach and making sure that coaching mentoring is in place around the specific CPD. So it sounds very exciting. It is that sort of peers working with peers and leading each other on that journey through professional development. But, you know, even that question, I think, leads the idea that the mindset is right and sounds very promising.
Fabulous, thank you. The next question that you've got is, in the current global environment, what do you think are the top 3 skills that teachers need and why?
That's a really interesting question, isn't it? Top 3 skills for a sector that is so diverse and so rich in skills and very hard to put a finger on one. I think one of the top skills still is that inclusivity around learning and making sure that all learners are included. We've already had some discussion here about skills that learners need for jobs, but also those transferable skills and what future employment looks like. So I think for teachers, it is again that forward look, you know, using very sort of established and traditional teaching approaches, but learning new things. So great to hear from Majid and knowing what's out there in terms of making situations accessible in a way perhaps that you wouldn't be able to do because of cost or environment. And then I think the third one is working collaboratively. So using organisations, many of which we've obviously been introduced to at SkillsFest, but that approach, I think, to supporting each other, helping, connecting, and that culture, I think, around continuous professional learning for teachers is really important.
Brilliant, thank you. And I actually have a third question. God, they like you. the methods you've outlined are brilliant for teachers and learning. Do you have any evidence-based data on how it makes a difference in the classroom?
That's another tough question, isn't it? Because we have lots of case studies, we have lots of sort of individual feedback and scenario, but most people in the education sector will know that sometimes impact can be very direct and immediate, and other times it takes a long time. And sometimes you don't know how learners are going to develop, or how they're going to transfer those skills, or how they're going to be successful for a while. But we've got a lot of impact assessment going on around the programs that we deliver. We always ask for feedback and follow-ups, and we try to encourage participants in our CPD to understand that, you know, CPD isn't a one moment thing, it is a journey, and how that impact as well will follow that journey through people's future practice.
Thank you, Catherine. They've finished grilling you for the moment. On to Claire now. So Claire, can you explain how employers and industry have actually helped develop qualifications and content?
Yes, as Fabienne said, it's all employer driven now, the qualifications. It's about recognising that employers know what skill sets the workforces have, what their sector needs. So at every stage within NCFE, every stage of development from conception through to review, we will have employer involvement alongside subject matter experts. So yeah, it's really, really important to get their insight, their input. We know how to develop the qualifications, but as Fabienne said, we don't necessarily have that in-depth knowledge. Despite having sector expertise, we need to get that rounded picture. So at every stage from inception to review, employers will be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I would just go one further, because, you know, I come from a sector skills background, and I would say you need less CEOs in that process and more production, hands-on people that do the jobs that you're developing qualifications for, because the CEOs think they're clever, but they don't actually do the jobs, do they?
That's very, very true.
So you need their buy-in strategically and their money, but, you know, goodbye, give us your staff.
Yeah, it's very much with co-production as well in terms of health and social care around service users and what they need, and engaging them as well.
Brilliant, thank you. Do employers across countries and industries deliver these qualifications that you have, and how can we be approved to deliver them?
Yes, we do have some of our qualifications are delivered internationally. Basically, to get approved, you would just need to contact us. So you can contact me and I can put you in touch with the relevant person. We have my colleague, Mike Potts, who's our international partnership manager, is unfortunately not able to be here today, but I would put you in touch with him and he will talk you through the approval process. It's very straightforward. So feel free to reach out and I can pass your details on to Mike, and he'd be really happy to get in touch.
And you too have a third bonus question, which is what type of programs can be part of the endorsed system that you mentioned?
Anything that is relevant to you and your specific needs within your organisation and skill sets. So with the endorsed programs, it is a training program, so it's not has learning outcomes or assessment criteria, because that would make it into a customised program. So the endorsed programs is really a skill set you've identified that is bespoke to you, and there isn't a regulated qualification that fills that gap. And then you build that qualification. We can support you if you require our support, then we would review and then endorse. So,
thank you so much. And unsurprisingly, Majid, you seem to get the most questions. So some of these are really short answers, I'm sure. So here we go. Do I need special kit, or does it work on any kind of kit?
It works in any standard machines. For the online version, for the VR version, now we are converting to various headsets as well.
And can you create bespoke online programs for our centre only?
Yeah, 100% can be done.
Okay, and does the Metaverse program come white box so I can put my own logos on it? I think you already demonstrated part of that.
Yeah.
And would you allow companies and providers in Colombia and Brazil to collaborate with you and UK organisations to create new content?
We're doing exactly the same thing now in other countries like Middle East, in Vietnam, thanks to you, Jonathan, with that as well, and Thailand now. So yeah, we welcome any opportunity to work with anyone in the world, really. And that's the aim really of our vision, is to make our program available anywhere in the world.
Brilliant. And I know you've answered this in the chat, but I'm going to ask the question anyway, just so that it's verbalized. Is this tool available for hospitality, retail, creative, and the visitor economy in general?
Yes, we're doing actually a program now. We should finish it in the next 2-3 weeks about hospitality, about commis chef, and then we are moving a lot, especially in the campus idea. We created various things for tourism as well, which I will share another link on that. Please, it's about the one we did about anti-racism, but actually, if you look at it, it's more about cultural awareness, more about how you can visit around the world by just clicking the mouse, like a basically tour around the world.
Fantastic. And then linked to that, multiculturalism does this come in other languages? Can it be multilingual?
Yeah, definitely. The one that I'm going to send that with link with, you can see that done in English and Welsh, for example, but you can do it in any languages, 100%.
Brilliant. I'm not surprised you've got the most questions, because you whizzed through loads of technology, and I told my colleagues it was amazing, and hopefully they've seen something as well, which, you know, has got them thinking about, oh my God, how can we make use of that too? So, you know, really lots of scope in there. That brings us to the end of the questions and the end of the session today. And it just leaves me to really just to go back over and remind everybody what we've listened to this afternoon. So Fabienne Bailey from AIM Qualifications and Assessment Group, John Elsner from Field Ready Limited, Manny Athwell from School of Coding and AI, Catherine Langford from Education and Training Foundation, Claire Montague from NCFE, and Majid Al-Qadar from Metaverse Learning. Thank you all so much for giving up your time. It's been really, really interesting, and I'm sure that amongst yourselves you're learning something, as well as everybody else that's watching today. You've been watching Jonathan Ledger at the Department for Business and Trade. It's been my pleasure. Don't forget, there are 2 more sessions. So we have a session on Thursday morning and Friday morning starting 8 AM UK time. So, you know, do join us if you can, if you're still up in the Americas or Latin America. And if you're in the other part of the world, it should be mid-afternoon or late afternoon for you. So lovely to see you all. Take care for now.